Kat, we're so glad you're with us today to stay curious on October 22nd, 2024, a shuttle launched in space history. We chose that as the green screen there that Carlton Bailey's watching, and he took this photograph 32 years ago today. Man still doesn't have any gray hair, does he, Marty? Marty's saying hi to you. He's my co-producer here, and I got a little fussy wanting a different background on the green screen and just fooling around here today. So sorry to be late, but we'll always be on unless we post that we're not. How's that for about as vague as you can get? But we love everybody watching our show out there. We're going to expand it to some different, just more feel about the museum, that sort of stuff. And we do have an announcement to make that from our board of directors last week, the American Space Museum in Titusville, Florida has announced a restructuring of its executive officers and appointed new members to the nonprofit's board of directors, effective immediately. Gabriel Rothblatt is going to be our executive director, overseeing the financial development and grant processing. And myself, Mark Marquette, has been named the museum director in charge of the day-to-day operations and outreach. And of course, these changes came about after the death of our leader, Karen Conklin, who died of cancer unexpectedly after a brief battle in August. She'd been with the museum 20 years. Gabriel's been on the show. Try to get Gabriel to come on next week. He's busy with a lot of the financial things going on. All good, and I am tickled to death to be empowered to be the director of the museum, and we'll hold both those titles sometime next year as Gabriel's going to segue out to other things. So Gabriel is part of the National Space Society, and we are going to be bringing them in to our museum big time. So we'll be announcing that on a couple. Stay curious, as not everybody watches every day, like Dave Stange and his 2-year-old Mia. Hi, Mia, if you're watching today. Is she?
No.
Oh, okay. Haven't seen that yet. Let me push live button there. See who is watching us today. We have got Doug Forrest. Good to see you, Dougie. And Steve Jokums. Hello to him up at Lake County Spaceport on the shores of Lake Michigan. There's Dave Stange, Dean Babcock, Carlton Bailey. Again, beautiful close-up shot of the launch STS-52. And which orbiter is that? I want to say Discovery, but let me consult the shuttle scroll here, Marty. That was indeed the 13th flight. No, 52? Yeah, 13th flight of Columbia. Weatherby was the commander, and our good friend Mike Baker was the pilot. And Marty's got a question centered around something that's on STS-52 launched 32 years ago. A good question. So let's have a little bit of Marty, my image key didn't work. There.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Let's have a little of that beautiful fall foliage. And thank you, Tommy Usiak. He's watching today, or will be, I'm sure, up there in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They got some hills there. That looks beautiful. I love that. Don't you, Marty?
Yep.
We're doing this for our benefit because, like Anita Truex, our office manager, says, palm trees leaves don't change colors down here. So hi there, William Whiting. We sure miss you, guy. And hope things are going well up there in Michigan. And he sent us a picture. Sent us a couple more pictures. We're going to be doing this until we see the bare trees down there. And there's another one from Tom Usiak around the bend in Pennsylvania. Maple tree, most likely. And my 92-year-old mother, Sally Marquette, sent me this picture today of a tree outside her apartment complex. Mom lives independently on her own still. She's quite amazing. And I love you, Mom, Sally Marquette, up there in Findlay, Ohio. And I know exactly looking out what window she's looking out, Marty. And we do have a skeleton crew here at the American Space Museum. I think that's Marty on the phone there. And have a lot of fun here at the American Space Museum. If you're local, please stop by. If you're part of the shuttle era, please see if you'd like to be a docent or volunteer here. We don't ask a whole lot of your time, or if you're not a docent and interested in space and live on the Space Coast, we'd like you to be interested in space. Okay, that's a plus. But give us 4 hours a month, and we'd be very grateful for that. Running our front desk, merchandise office, or giving a tour around here. So we're getting into the holiday spirit, Marty, and having some fun on Halloween. We have got 14 humans orbiting the Earth right now. Record was 19, set in September this year. And I put this up because we're going to get back Crew 8 sometime, Crew Dragon 8, when? Stay curious and stay tuned. But Marty, I wrote that down, and did I bring my notes over here with me? By golly, I don't think I did. I wrote down how many days everyone was in space. It's on the back of one of these. Flip that over in front of underneath my phone. Doggone it. I wrote down how many days in space everybody had, and you can figure that out. No, on the back of that white sheet. Nope. What the heck did I do with that? Well, hand me my phone, please, sir. Oh, I'll bet it's right here. I am discursive. I have it, Marty. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm a little discursive today. There's a lot going on at the museum and personally in my life, and we'll share some of that with you Friday. Another good thing happening. So, Crew 8 has been in space 233 days. That's over a month longer than they were scheduled to be up there. That's 8 months, okay? Usually a cruise goes out 5 to 6 month range. Starliner, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore there have been up 140 days, okay, on the International Space Station. And then the newbies up there, the Soyuz MS-26 crew, 2 Russians and Don Pettit in the middle there, been up 42 days, a little over a month. And Crew 9 was launched almost a month ago. They've been up there 25 days. They're the 2-person crew there of Nick Hague and a Russian there, Grebnov, and he is indeed a rookie. I thought he was experienced, Marty, and I need to correct my sign here that we have 621 humans have orbited the Earth, 79 of them women on there. So when we going to get the Crew 8 back? They're supposed to come back at the first part of October, and Hurricane Milton changed that idea. And there's been weather's been nice, but the seas have been awful choppy, Marty, on both sides of the Florida coast. This will be the last to land on this Florida coast, either Gulf or Atlantic side, because SpaceX announced they were going to bring them all back on the California Pacific Ocean side. So we're also going to talk here in a few minutes about STS-52, one of the beautiful shuttles of the month of October. 12 shuttles launched in October, and I believe there's over 60 astronauts involved in that. And we're going to talk about STS-52, launched on October 22nd. In 1992, that'd be 32 years ago, and Carlton Bailey, our friends, got some pictures of that out there. John Borelli, the rocket chaser, good afternoon to you, sir. And Mitch Rothman, a manned space, hello to me and everybody else. Good afternoon, Tom. Thank you, UCEC. Thanks for sharing your autumn photos there. Get your little brother Mark to send me a few there. So some good missions, some good people that we've made friends of this month. And of course, the launch of John Glenn at age 77 was a shuttle of October up there. So still have a few days to talk about the last ones. STS-120 tomorrow we're going to talk about tomorrow. This is the planet Venus through a telescope. Doesn't have to be a lot of power. It goes through phases like the moon. Okay, it's at about a dichotomy phase now, I believe. go into gibbous phase as it gets higher in our sky after sunset. We were all talking about the comet Shenzhen over the last week, and I demonstrated yesterday how to make a comet. I couldn't because all the dry ice is gone from the hurricane. Everybody cooling down their food with dry ice, and I couldn't find any to make a comet out of dry ice. Nonetheless, that comet was close to Venus in the western sky. So if you were looking for the comet, you undoubtedly noticed a brilliant pearly white star that you may have mistaken for a plane until you noticed it didn't move. That's Venus. Only the sun and moon are brighter than Venus. Earth's twin, about 100 miles less diameter, 7,800 miles or 7,900. It is covered in clouds. Not only clouds, 30-mile thick cloud layer, all right, of sulfuric acid and carbon dioxide. And on the surface is a virtual hell of 900 degrees where you could melt lead. Yet, on this date, in 1975, way back last century, Marty, 49 years ago, the Russians, then the USSR, landed the first spacecraft to land on Venus and return images from the surface. They were obsessed with Venus more than we were. We put a couple of orbiters around it later, Magellan 1 deployed by a shuttle. But on October 22nd, Venera 9 landed within 93 miles of an area called Beto Regio on a steep slope with boulders, all right, on it. This is an artist's rendering of what that spacecraft looked like. It was about 8 feet tall, and it was the first spacecraft to return an image from the surface of another planet 49 years ago. And here is the picture of that surface right there. Very historic. See the date there? Bera, that's Vera in Russian, 22/10/75. So, yeah, Marty, go ahead.
Dave Stange has a question. If you said this, sorry I missed it. What was the largest number of occupants that were on the space station at one time?
I believe that's 13, could be 14. All right, right now they have 11. Good question, Dave, but I think it's 14. And I'm going to stick with that, but I know Steve Jokums has got his brain working on that. But it's 13 or 14, I believe. And that was a big crew of a 7-member shuttle came up there with 7 people on there, I believe. So I'm gonna go with 14, Marty. But that's a good Marty question that we do have coming up. Here, a question from Marty here that's going to pertain to STS-52. Venera measured clouds that were 19 to 25 miles thick, with bases about 20 miles above the surface, all right? So it's a runaway greenhouse effect. These rocks in a panorama look soft. There's no weathering from the winds. Traditionally, it would melt lead, and rocks indeed have a soft look to them, marshmallowish look to it. They were not eroded. 2 of the camera lenses failed to come off, limiting pictures to 180 degrees. This failure occurred with Venera 10. This was a common failure on spacecraft, particularly the Russians, that the covers they put over the lenses so that the gases from the thrusters and so forth don't contaminate them, wouldn't pop off. And you know what Americans finally did to solve that problem, Marty? That's an engineering problem. You got a camera and you land it on the surface of an alien world and the cap doesn't pop off. That's a bad day, and there went about millions of dollars and hundreds of hours of engineering. So you know how America solved that problem? You don't know, do you? No, Marty.
No, if you're asking me, no.
I am. I just thought, now think it though. There's a practical solution.
Pack it in ice.
No. Why don't you make the cap opaque? Then, and not just an opaque, just so it's clear. All right. Doesn't have to be optical glass on the cover, or it could. in case it didn't popped off, you still see, something out of it, and that's what we did. Uh, and now you know, and that's why you stay curious. Here's another image from that, resurrected over time. Of course, this is the way they take computers 50 years later and take this picture. They actually put together as this is what it would look like if you were standing beside Venera 9. There is some mountainous areas there, but the mountains are volcanoes. We think we see active volcanoes on Venus, though none of the spacecraft orbiting it have ever caught one in action. Uh, Fighting the crushing atmosphere. You got all that weight of an atmosphere on you. It's going to crush a pop can on the surface. So that the heat up to 900 degrees and 90 times barometric, 90 times the Earth's weight on top of you. The instruments worked right after touchdown. The cameras were operational 2 minutes afterwards. Showed a smooth surface, numerous stones, and it succumbed 53 minutes later to the heat and crushing atmosphere. So, another picture from the surface of Venus. All right. This is a later mission. This was not Venera 9. They landed 3 or 4. I know 3 for sure. This is Venera 13. A lot better clarity, and this is a artifact of the cover that came off this extender that was pounded into the ground for tensile strength, and this is part of the lander right there. But look, it's going right through a gorge there. That's a very cool picture. You see the rocks there, not a lot of erosion, not a lot of softness there, but the rocks heat has cracked this one by my head. Picture's worth 1,000 words, and when it's from another planet, you bet. And I've got a picture of lava on the side of a mountain that I have out of sequence here, Marty. We'll look at Venus here right after we look at STS-52. So, STS-52 launched on this date in space history, like I said, in 1992. And here is what the beautiful looking patch symbolizes. Designed by the crew, a gold star is a symbol often associated with the frontier period of the American West. The STS-52 patch features a large gold star to symbolize the crew's mission on the frontiers of space. The red border in the shape of the Greek letter lambda, represents both the laser experiments to be taken by the Laser Geodynamic Satellite called LAGOS, number 2, and the Lambda Point Experiment, which is part of the United States Microgravity Payload USMP-1. The Lagos 2 is a joint Italian-U.S. satellite project intended to further our understanding of global plate tectonics. So it's measuring how the continents are moving in relationship to each other. And the USMP-1 is a microgravity facility which the French and US experiments are designed to test the theory of cooperative phase transitions and to study the solid-liquid interface of a metallic alloy in the low-gravity environment. That is a bunch of fancy words for they were doing some regular forged in fire stuff with that type of analogy in there, to see how these things worked. The remote manipulator and maple leaf are emblematic of the Canadian payload specialists who will conduct a series of Canadian flight experience on the CanX-2, including the Space Vision Quest test. Okay, so let me just give the crew here, Marty, and I see you have a question there. So James Weatherby was the commander. I didn't write down what their missions were. Didn't grab that, but they were up there. It was a let's see. Let me see what I got on the crew here. If I noted that, 5 NASA astronauts and 1 Canadian astronaut here. So the crew is Back in the upper left there is our friend Mike Baker, who is the pilot. Bakes will be in town on Sunday. So we hope to take him out to dinner and uh, buy him an adult beverage or two and have a good time with the guy that really gets our museum and likes hanging out with Marty and me when he's doing his talk at Astronaut Encounter. At least he likes hanging out with Marty. I do know that. In the center is Jim Weatherby. He flew in space 6 times. I think he's just a pilot once and 5 times a commander. Bakes is twice a commander, twice a pilot. Charles Veach is the mission specialist. He is on the right-hand side. That's Bill Shepard on the right-hand side. Veach is on the other side. In the middle, of course, is Tammy Jernigan. And Steve McLean up there in the upper right is the payload specialist from Canada there. So great crew. And here they are. And that begs our question. Marty, let's first get your question from our guest watching the show today.
Well, put it back up so I can read it.
No. You had a question
Oh, I'm sorry.
from our guest.
Yeah. Steve Holcomb says, according to the web, the largest crew to ever be on the ISS at one time was 13, which
Okay.
occurred July 2009.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that fact check on us there. I thought maybe 14, but I did say 13, so
Yep.
I was in the wheelhouse there. And Stangy said, I just saw it on International Museum Workers Day. Not sure what he saw. Congratulations to you all. Okay, thank you. We love publicity anywhere, so let's save it there. And as Dave Stangy says to Steve, you the man. And he's a great guy, Steve is. And our Ferraris are doing wonderful at that sport. Okay, get back to the crew here. And oh yeah, your trivia question of the day, Marty. I kind of talked him into this, so.
Okay, Steve, since you're the man, why don't you wait about 15 minutes before you answer the question? Anyway, STS-52 was launched today, 32 years ago, with the cremated remains of whom?
Yes. And here is the cremated remains of who was on board with these astronauts. And you know, I'm going to ask Bakes about that. And we'll ask Nick Thomas on this. He's going to be on Monday, Stay Curious. Nick Thomas making his monthly appearance. Nick is going to talk about space foods. And who would know better than except an astronaut than him about space foods?
Sure.
Yeah, I see. It's International Museum Worker Day. Okay, didn't know that. Thank you very much, International Museum Worker Day. I'll put a Facebook post up there. Thank you, Dave Stangy.
Well, if I'd have known that, I would have bought you a cake.
Yeah, really. We can always bring you cakes and cookies. We know that. Well, what a great walk out there. Great shot. That Carlton Bailey took that shot. Carlton, you couldn't want the heads turned any better, and everybody looking at you there. And I always like seeing who's in the back there, bringing up the rear. The NASA VIPs and astronauts don't recognize that guy in a tie there. But
Is that George Abbey?
no, that's not George Abbey. And it's Mike Baker now wears his hair shaved right to the skull, so he always looked kind of weird there with hair on there. And did we ever ask Bakes his call sign? I don't think I did. I'm gonna ask him what his call sign is next time. All right, there we get the launch off. Carlton, what a gorgeous launch. All right, I think that's the image Marty chose, but because it's a vertical, it got cropped in real tightly there. But there you see the billowing SRBs and the nice purple triangles on the 3 SSMEs headed for space. And it was a great mission. And yeah, how great was it? They came back November 1st. Actually, Mike spent his birthday on space up there, Marty. His birthday is October 27th, I believe. So, so that's cool. We'll ask him about spending a birthday up there in space too. All right. So the STS-52 in the books, really an ambitious, with a lot of science. The International Space Station wasn't built. This is a perfect mission that is after the first 25 was up to the Challenger disaster and learning how to do things. And then the middle sector of the shuttle era, 30-year era, is this mission like this is a perfect example. Doing all kinds of science experiments in the payload bay, astronauts busy in different disciplines from meteorology to global tectonics. And then all of this has come together after the last third of the shuttle era, building the International Space Station. And that's what they do on a daily basis, what was pioneered 32 years ago. Gorgeous, gorgeous shot there. Um, that's what Marty put up there for the green screen, and I wanted to see the river there in the bottom there. That's a cool shot there, CB. And only photographers like him, Marty, and you probably know where that's at, to stand there and take that picture. But Carlton even got a bird to fly by in there for a little bit of eye candy to his picture there. So great shot. I wish I could have seen one. I came to a couple scrubs, and just to feel that energy and power. Marty, was it? You've seen all of them, so you want to describe the feel of that on a beautiful day like today, please, sir?
I mean, to some degree, it's kind of hard to describe it. You know, you as I said before, you feel the sound waves, bouncing off your chest. And then just the sight, whether it's a day launch or night launch, is so different, but they're so beautiful. To me, it's just hard to put words behind it. I don't have your gift of speech, Mark.
Well, that's enough, really. So there is a mountain on Venus that I have out of sequence there. That is a lava track in front of here. How do we take those pictures like that through the clouds of 30 miles? Radar. This is a radar image from Magellan, a very successful mission launched out of, I want to say STS-30, but that was Ulysses, I believe. Let me consult the scroll. Magellan was STS-30. Okay. Dave Walker and Grabe Thagard, Cleve, and Lee in May 89. And it orbited for over 10 years and took radar images of this. That's why we can't see an actual volcano exploding, but they are erupting. But we're sending several other probes there, as are other countries. Carlton says that's actually a remote shot. They said before you, it was taken out a little inlet off a beach road next to the ocean there. We're talking about this picture right here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I kind of thought it was a remote image, but what a nice setup there. Bet you'd like to set your camera there for Artemis. Whenever, if ever that happens. Oh, did I say if ever, Marty? Excuse me.
Whatever.
Yeah, we're going to take that on one day, I guarantee you. Artemis, we're not going. Just get that out of your head. Elon Musk is going. All right. But NASA's not going. All right. We'll expose that as time comes. And quite frankly, since I opened that can of worms, as we look at the humans in space, we'll wait till after the November election here in a few weeks and see if either astronaut's interested in going back to the moon or Mars. It's a lot of money, and there's a lot of problems that they're going to be challenged to fix here in America. So 14 humans orbiting the Earth. The record was September 2024 of 19. Okay. We will have, we're going to get Crew Dragon, then back to, we'll go to 10. And then let's talk about bringing them back here in a minute. What do I like about the people who are up there? All kinds of things. Shenzhou 18, like I said, has been up there 181 days. They will launch Shenzhou 19. Don't know if a lady's going to be on that, but usually about every other flight, they put a woman up there. So they'll have 6 up there for a week or so as they train, the old crew trains the new crew. And so it could be, so we would have 10, we'd have 13, And then there's no more launches scheduled until March, when Crew 9 goes, Crew 10 is launched. So that'll be 4. So we'll have 10, 13, and 4 more. We could break a record of 17 in March, would be the next time that could happen. But we need to get Crew Dragon 8 back. It's been delayed. Let's get some data on that. Oh, I wondered one other thing. That is Nick Hague, okay, and the Russian, I think his name's Ovenkin, Russian named Ovenkin. Got his name on his, yeah, Ovenchi. You see it on his name there. They're clasping hands on Soyuz 10, where they were launched in 2018, 6 years ago, October 11th. These two men were launched on a Soyuz rocket, MS-10 Soyuz spacecraft. In a few minutes after liftoff, the craft went into a contingency abort due to a booster failure and came back down to Earth. The launch escape tower had already been ejected. The capsule was pulled away from the rocket by its own rocket boosters, and they went up about, I thought, 70 miles high before coming back down to Earth in an aborted launch safely. And guess what? These two men are on the International Space Station right now. They were launched a year and a half later on expedition mission, so they spent time up there. But Ovenko came up there on the MS-26 mission, shown here on the left, with Pettit and another astronaut. And Nick Hague was the Crew Dragon commander, taking another Russian up there with him. So I think that's so cool that they had an aborted launch, and they had a successful launch, and now they're brothers in arms again up on the International Space Station on Expedition 72. Here's the crew we got to get back. The latest information I pulled off the World Wide Web was they are going to undock tomorrow at 5 o'clock. NASA will have a briefing at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Wednesday, the 23rd of October. And if they undocked at about 5 in the afternoon, they will re-enter sometime Friday. Now, the way NASA says, there is a 6-hour to 32-hour window for landing, okay? And the orbital mechanics of orbiting around the Earth, they just can't say we're going to go home today. They have to make sure their orbit's going over Florida, all right? And preferably whenever they want it to be, daytime, nighttime. And the waves have been real high. They were originally scheduled to return in August, but the mission was extended several times, especially as NASA investigated Boeing's troubled Starliner capsule. What was supposed to be an 8-day mission for Butch and Sonny, of course, is now in its 140th day, and they have been integrated into the crew of Expedition 72. And by the way, Sonny Williams is the expedition commander, all right? So it's crowded up there with 11 people. Though it seems like there's a lot of space, everybody's in their own cubicles and all that stuff, and there's a lot of people up there for 11. They were set to undock Sunday, October 13th, but Hurricane Milton changed their plans. Other undocking issues on the 18th, 20th, and 21st had unfavorable splashdown zone conditions. So, and it's a heck of a ride. Coming down, using a series of parachute deployments, the Dragon will slow down from 17,500 miles an hour to 350 miles an hour to about 16 miles an hour when it lands in the ocean. All right. And depending where we're at on the Space Coast or the west coast of Florida, you can hear a sonic boom of them coming in. Here's who we got docked at the International Space Station. 3 cargo ships, Cygnus 21, Progress 89 and 88. And the Soyuz MS-29 is on the Russian module. We're going to do a program I'm developing of the docking system that is holding this module there has leaked for years and is experiencing some really bad leaks, though they don't want you to know about it. However, I've got some deep throat sources out there and that are involved with this that are telling me if you would hear some morning that a part of the International Space Station's Russian segment has broken off, don't be surprised because they think it's pretty tenuous. It's was launched in 1999, so it is getting some serious age on it. And again, they're not going to repair or swap things out. They want to deorbit in about 5 to 6 years. So there's where your Crew 8 and Crew 9 are on the International Space Station, and there is looking out at Crew Dragon 8 and its situation, which is on top of the International Space Station. Where Crew 9 is where the Starliner was docked. And once Dragon 8 leaves, they want to move it up Dragon 9. As you could kind of gather, the mass of the vehicle is less strenuous on the overall wobbling back and forth of this axis here that you see Crew 9 and the Progress 89 at the other end. Beautiful picture there, Marty. I kind of like that. 2 drogue chutes and 4 main chutes on this. There is the crew in space there. 65-year-old Barrett, Mike Barrett. Yeah, blacked out there. Mike Barrett there. He's 65 years old, folks, but eclipsed by Don Pettit, 69 up there. Jeanette Epps up there. Good friend of Gabriel Rothblatt, our new executive director. We'll bring Gabriel on next week. Marty's space trivia question of the day, STS-52. Go ahead, Marty. Take it away.
I'm trying to see if Steve Holcomb answered it. He said he will later. Anyway, I'm sure Steve knows the answer. Anyway, it's Gene Roddenberry, and he was the producer of Star Trek, right?
That's right. Gene Roddenberry's ashes were on the STS-52. Supposedly the first human remains. Hi all, only a guess, but is it the answer, Gene Roddenberry? Go on the 1220. Yes, it is. And the ashes of Gene Roddenberry were flown on the space shuttle, and there Steve also knows it there. So creator of Star Trek, interesting person. You can say that certainly was a major influence on all of these astronauts going to space and so forth. So wonderful. Thank you all for participating in our question there. And yeah, Marty.
But actually, Steve did get it. I guess he had it written down, but didn't send it. And also, go on the 1202. He got it also.
Yes. Yeah, he did. Yep. And Carlton's saying 6:56 today for a launch window tonight. Okay. I'm going to stay over here in Titusville, CB, so I'll go over Spaceview Park and check that out a little before 7 dinner time. So it's a beautiful day. The winds are kind of high in some places, I guess, but Dave Stange said he cheated and looked it up. He thought it was Deke Slayton. Good question there on there. And we're going to keep pumping Marty's questions at you there. We'll find a way for you to maybe give your I don't know. Maybe they could email me with their answer, and then I could reveal how many people got it right. All right, that we would like to know how many of you all got it right, not necessarily who's first on there. So, but we did stump you, Steve, one day there. All right. Shout out to everybody that was watching today. Go on the 1202. I get it. I didn't get that right away. Go on the 1202, the famous Bales shout out on Apollo 11 landing. And I'm convinced y'all that wasn't as close a hair as you thought it was. Neil Armstrong was in complete control. He was concerned about that 1202 alarm though. And because I think he even came back, he wanted more feedback on that. But he was going to land it no matter what. Don't you think, Marty? There was no way he was going to push that abort button. They were going to ride that sucker down till it crashed, probably. Great time today, everybody. Thursday, we're going to wind it up and do it again. Beautiful shot there from the Pennsylvania hillside, taken by our good buddy Tom Usiak. We're working on a lot of things. I didn't put a slide up there for a memorabilia show a week from today at the Beachside Hotel. That's going to happen for you locals. Get out there and buy some memorabilia. We got Shuttle Fest info that we're going to launch here next week and then sell the thing out. I got a meeting with the hotel tomorrow, so I'll say hi to Dana for you, Tom Usiak. All right, so Marty, there's a beautiful way to go out there. Thank you for a wonderful Stay Curious program today. We're up to about episode 1153, so we'll get it down one day and soon be an overnight sensation. So thank you all for being patient with me, coming on late from time to time. We'll try to solve that as I get a handle on everything I'm being involved with here. So until next time, on behalf of our wonderful museum, Marty Winkle, my co-producer, and myself, Mark Marquette, I can't wait to see you in our museum to bridge the space between us.